Hi, everyone. My name is Micki Josi, and I am a math instructor here at Portland Community College. I always like to make sure that everybody is placed into the right class where you're going to find the most success. So I often hear students tell me they haven't taken a math class in 10 years, and they're sometimes starting in Math 95, which is actually a very challenging class. So I just want to make sure that you are on the right pathway. There is, of course, advising at PCC that will definitely be a great resource for you. And you'll also want to check out the PCC website, and that has a lot more details than what I'm going to share right now. And I can share that link with you. Basically, you're looking for PCC advising. And then if you go /math, so if you go to www.pcc.edu/advising/math, this information will be on that website as well. So, and you can also email me. My email is micki.josi@pcc.edu. And you can find my own bio that has a lot of links to my math videos on my website or on the PCC website. If you look up pcc.edu and you go back staff/Micki-Josi. I believe that's how they I'll just double check that right here on the screen. Okay, so the first question, yes, that's correct. So that's pcc.edu for the front part of that. So the first thing you want to ask yourself, are you going towards a STEM major? And STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. So that's where you get the acronym STEM from. So all of the STEM majors will have to take the traditional algebra pathway, which we, at PCC, what do we call that really? I mean, this is, of course, for developmental math before we get to 100 level, but I'm trying to illustrate what classes you would need and where this would lead you to. So we just call this the traditional algebra pathway. It's also the STEM pathway, and that would include Math 60, which is intro algebra, 65 is intro algebra part 2. In high school, this is about the equivalent of algebra 1 and 2. And then from there, the more advanced one, of course, is Math 95. That's going to be the intermediate algebra, and that'll cover just about algebra 3, 4 in high school, although not really quite, because you'll do some things in Math 111, which would be the next class. So this is your college level class. These are all math classes. Math 111 is what we call college algebra, and this is going to be your 100 level class. So this term, for example, I'm teaching online 65 and remote 95. The difference between an online class and a remote class is the online class is pretty independent. Students work with our online textbook, which I'll also be happy to provide you a link with. And then you wouldn't have traditional class meetings, although we are doing proctored exams. So the students in my online class will have to come to campus 3 times during the term to take an in-person timed closed notes proctored exam. Same thing with the remote. The remote, we're just meeting on Zoom. So it's just like the in-person class, although we're meeting 2 days a week, just like we would in person, and we do a lot of group work in the remote class. And then the students will also have to come in for in-person exams, proctored exams. And that's for my online class, I have 3 proctored exams. For the remote class, I just have 2, the midterm and the final. Okay, so this could also lead you to a non-STEM. So if you were going into STEM, you would need to take the traditional algebra. Like I said, that's going to take you to college algebra. It'll take you to Trig 112. And then that usually leads students to calculus and beyond. And that's 250, I believe, 1 through 254. Now, what if you are not going to be a STEM major? Some examples of STEM majors or non-STEM majors even could be social sciences. So something like psychology or sociology, anthropology. A lot of these social sciences actually require statistics, which you can take statistics if the prerequisite for statistics is Math 95. So you can jump over to stats and stats I think is 243 and 244. I believe. I don't teach these upper level classes, so sometimes I get them a little confused. So if you were going to be a non-STEM major, that could even be something like an English major, etc. Anything that wouldn't be science, technology, engineering, or math. So if you're like you want to study computer science, that's definitely STEM, right? And you would have to take all these traditional algebra classes. So for non-STEM, we have an alternate pathway, which is called math literacy. And you can think of these classes as almost like a reading and writing class about math. So that's math 58, 98. And by the way, if you want to go even, more basic, you can always start at math 20 is a really great option. And I have a lot of videos. I have all of my courses on YouTube. So I have a lot of videos that I can share with you, and I have links to my website, my staff website, which I had mentioned above. So all of my videos are going to, not all, but a lot of my videos will be linked there. So you can always go back and review. Math 20 is things like fractions, decimals, percents. So math 20 is a great prerequisite if you just feel like you want to brush up on fundamentals, but most people will be able to just straight away go into math 58, 98. Now we do use calculators a lot in that class. So if you feel like, in the past, something like your times tables have gotten in the way, then math 58, 98 could be a great resource for that. The other thing that's really fun about this class, we do a lot of group work, so they are not yet offering it online. I believe right now, this term, there's just in person, and maybe later on down the road, there would be some remote options. There was during the pandemic. This class would be the prerequisite for Math 105, which gives you a 100 level transfer, and then you could use that to take, or you can go Math 98 just straight into stats, I believe. Again, you'll want to consult with your advisor just to think about, like, what is your career goal? What do you think you're most interested in? The other plug I will give for Math 98, we do a lot of group work. Everything in that class is within a context. So we're going to do a lot of reading and writing. You can almost think of it as a reading and writing class about math. And so for that reason, a lot of students who haven't really jived well with the traditional algebra have found it too abstract. A lot of times those students thrive in this class because you really work together. You get to know your peers, which is a really great skill to have out in the workforce as well. And then we will learn things in this class like Excel, and that's the same thing actually as Google Sheets. And those are amazing skills to have outside in your everyday life, as well as in the workforce. So there's just a lot of practical applications to the Math 5898. You'll notice that it's actually a shorter sequence. You do have to buy a book for this class, but it will be the same book you'll use in Math 58 and Math 98. And I think you'll actually learn a lot of really practical math that you can use in your everyday life. So really, when you think about this, you have choices is the important thing to realize. I'm going to go ahead and share a different screen now and just show you where you can find this information on, oops, that's the wrong one, on my PCC or on PCC's website. So where do I want to share this time? Let's share the screen. So here's that web address again, pcc.edu/advising/math. And then what you'll see here, some more detailed information. You'll see the two different paths that you can take and some information about that. And then confirming there's a link to get in touch with an advisor. So that's a wonderful resource. As I mentioned, my own staff website has some links to some review videos. So you could always use, these are actually from my work at Clackamas Community College, but they're very similar. So you could use this to help you review and refresh. And then you could always also meet with a tutor or with your instructors in office hours. I will be having office hours at the Southeast Campus Tutoring Center on Tuesdays in fall. You can always email me, as I mentioned, to get an updated time that I'll be there. And then finally, for those of you who are in my class right now, I've provided a few things on the course homepage. Down below is this idea of placement. So it's a little bit of a write-up of what I'm trying to explain here, although maybe less details. And then I have included, if you're in Math 95, the Math 60 and Math 65 final exam reviews, so that you could look at that and sort of self-assess. Yes, I know all of those things. Or maybe you look at the Math 65 and you're like, I could really use a refresher on that. Wouldn't it be better to start? My advice and my own personal experience too has confirmed this. It's always better to start sort of a little easier in math, right? Because sometimes we've taken a break and it's been a while and it doesn't just come back so easily. So it's never a problem to start a little lower than you think is appropriate for you and then work your way up. That way you're going to have a solid foundation. Too often I see students struggling in a class that's too hard. And what's really the problem is the prerequisite skills, because we just don't have time to learn new material and refresh all of the old. So that's why it's so important to make sure you're in the right pathway. The other thing you can do is in all of our courses, most of the instructors are going to have a link to videos and textbooks. This is the video textbooks. All of our Math 60, 65, 95 is all free online textbooks. So you don't have to buy it. You can, of course, buy a paper copy if you'd like. But what's really great about this is it breaks down the Math 60 through 95, and all of the chapters are there. So let's say you were in Math 95 and you're like, well, I just need to really refresh on graphing. Great. You can always go back to those other chapters. So if I scroll through, here's the beginning Math 60 will cover chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so if you were going to want to refresh on graphing lines, you could click on graphing lines, and then you would see that there's going to be all of these embedded videos. Of course, you'd be welcome to read the textbook instead, but I always kind of prefer a video. And then, of course, I will put the video on double time. But then there also will be an opportunity for you to practice problems. These practice problems look very similar to the web work because it was all designed, I think, in-house with PCC. And that's where we'll be doing our homework. The videos and I will be explaining a lot of this in class. I'm kind of going beyond the scope of just placement right now. But just so you know, the ORCA matches up with the web work. So the online textbook and the online homework sync up very nicely. And when you go to do this homework, the same exact videos that are in the textbook are embedded in the homework as well. So I hope that answers some of your questions on placement and helping you determine what is the appropriate math class for you. Any math faculty would be happy to talk with you about it and sort of figure out what is your best level. But like I said, always better to err on the side of, I will be successful in this class. It's not too hard. So, we want the math to be accessible for you. We want you to be successful. I really want all of my students to get A's. So I just want to really ensure that you're in the right place. And remember, you can always get help from the tutors. There is a tutoring center if you go to pcc.edu/tutoring. The tutors at PCC are wonderful, and we do have tutoring locations at each of the major campuses. Plus, there's e-tutoring. So here you can actually go online, and from 5:30 a.m. until 11:30 p.m., you'll be able to get some tutoring help. Actually, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead. That looks like that's just on Saturday and Sunday. I thought that was all throughout the week. But during the week, we will definitely have the PCC tutoring centers open. And like I said, I will be there as well as other math instructors and students who've taken classes through PCC. So I hope this video was informative. Please feel free to email me. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns about your placement.